Welcome to LCTV Channel 20. I'm Linda Press Wolf, and this is a visit with Reverend Dr. Mark Salmon. The South Salem Presbyterian Church recently welcomed Reverend Dr. Mark Salmon to lead their congregation. He began with the Christmas Eve service on December 24th, 2019. He most recently served as a pastor of the church in Florida, but has many ties to our area. Mark spent a significant portion of his youth in New Jersey, and he's an ardent Yankee fan. Mark is married and has a daughter who serves on the faculty at Teachers College at Columbia University. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you. So great to be here. And it's only Mark, but it's great to be here.
Mark, what drew you to Lewisboro?
I technically retired after almost 40 years of ministry, October 31st, although I knew retirement was not going to last for me. And there was a possibility of maybe taking a small church in Florida. But then someone from this area, through the Presbyterian computer system, contacted me, see if I might be interested in a part-time kind of call, and I was. I love the area. I love the Northeast. This is a beautiful part of New York State. You have the city nearby and the beautiful country and parks. The weather could be a little better at times, though, but it's been a little cold in the beginning as I'm adjusting. But no, I love the area. I love the culture. I really love the Northeast.
You know, of your many talents and skills in the ministry, you're also a certified master hypnotherapist, a magician, and a puppeteer. But my first question is, what forged your interest in the ministry?
When I was a child in New Jersey, 5 years old, Liberty Corner, New Jersey, if you know Liberty Corner, Basking Ridge, Central New Jersey, would come home from church. And I would go into the bedroom, which I shared with my brother, who was 5 years older, and I would re-preach the sermon that I just heard. I always thought I could do a better job than what I just heard. No, I'm kidding about that. I've always felt called to the ministry. I've never not felt called. There have been times in my life I thought the Yankees could have used me or this or that. I've always known I was going to be in ministry. So it's such a fantastic gift to have your childhood dream actually be your profession. And I'm even doing that profession, in theory, post-retirement. That's why. And a funny thing about it, since I would go in and preach that sermon in my bedroom at 5, 6, 7 years old, my brother and sister didn't want to hear it again. So they both became Methodists, so I don't know how good I was at that. I never doubted I was going to be a minister, never doubted it.
Oh, it's a lucky path for you. And part two of this question is, what drew your interest in these many other talents that you have as a hypnotherapist, a puppeteer, and magician?
Hypnotherapy, mainly the way that's been used when I was in a couple of my other churches, was usually for substance abuse or weight loss. I have used it a couple other times with other people. I've actually let my certification go where I don't use it for, if someone comes in to me now, I won't use it. I'll refer them now because they can do some of it on their own. So the whole body, the whole human being, is a physical side and a spiritual side, a mental side, and I think it's very important. So hypnotherapy really has been wonderful with that. But otherwise, clowning, I can go, let me give you an example. I brought you just in case. The Scouts wanted me to come see them, talk to them. So if I go to the Scouts, which I did, and here I am a professional, institutional type person, and they have to have this adult come in they don't really want to hear, and he's going to tell them about scouting. So I walk in there, and the first thing I said is, a scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind of being cheerful, thrifty, brave, and then I started going like that, and I went on and on, and I went on for a long time. You know what? I had their attention.
Oh, sure.
And then they listened to me. So sometimes I've been able to use some of these other skills like clowning or Christian magic. It's a little bit different than it all has an object, or puppeteering or so forth. So sometimes it was to do a lesson. Jesus, when he taught, I know I've been to Israel many times, picked up anything around him, and that's what he used for an object lesson.
Well, that's interesting because that really gives us a few examples of how these skills blend with your ministry. You're an avid Yankee fan, and is it true that you were at one time the spiritual leader for the Houston Astros organization?
Well, within the organization, we had several of us that did that.
And so tell us about moments with the team or its players in that role.
It's great. Spend a lot of time in locker rooms and a lot of times with their families. It's a very lonely business, incredibly lonely. Most of the people that try out for professional baseball never make it to the majors. And if they do, they don't last there long. So they need spiritual guidance. So I would have it started out, I would have chapel with them once a week before a game. Nolan Ryan, from a baseball fan, actually was very good, and when we were in Corpus Christi, and allowed us to have special rooms. So we'd have Bible studies and worship, have the other team come in. We did something, as far as I know, was never done in baseball. Maybe it's been done since then. I would have the players come from both teams together with the umpires before the game. They had to take their shirts off because of rules and everything in baseball. So we did that. But then we expanded it. My wife got involved. My congregation got involved. I had my congregation pick players, which they prayed for on a regular basis. I had some people from the church make brownies and homemade cookies for the umpires every game. So I tried to incorporate them as well. So it was a great ministry for the players, for their families. So when I moved, though, from Texas to Florida, I'm not with the Astros, but I've been very close with the Yankee organization. So it hadn't been official ministry with the Yankees, but it's been very unofficial. In fact, when I was driving up here to start here in December, I stopped in New Bern, North Carolina, and did what we call a Yankee wedding, part of the Yankee family, and continue. The bad thing is, since I've moved here now, I no longer get free Yankee tickets, though. I used to get them, but that's part of it. But it's amazing ministry. Many people burn out of any profession. Many people burn out of ministry. I have not, I think, because God has led me in these other directions like baseball and other things like that.
This sounds like a very uplifting experience for both the players, members of the organization, and for you as well.
It is. And to be with a player when he is being released, and I've been with that many times, it's a very painful moment. Their whole dream since they were a child to be refreshed and have to face their parents and their community. So that is ministry at its bare knuckles best.
Now, as a Yankee fan, I would imagine you have some Yankee memorabilia or some items that are a tribute to the Yankees?
Very much so. My office here has a lot. My office that I just left was a bigger office. It was loaded. I have a 5x10 storage, air-conditioned storage space right now in Tampa area, which is at least half loaded with Yankee memorabilia. I have over 500 signed baseballs and things like that. I have a lot. So I am a diehard. I have a car, which I have up here in April. I'll go down and pick it up. And it's known as the Yankee Mobile. And it's actually, it'll be obvious when it's here.
We look forward to seeing it in the parking lot here at the church. You've led missions to Mexico and Guatemala, among other destinations. Tell us about those experiences.
I've been fortunate. Actually, I've been to Mexico more than 100 times. Most of those are on the border for one day. Guatemala, I'm getting ready to make my 30th trip sometime later this year. We've tried to do so many things. We've got a church that we're involved with in Antigua, Guatemala. But in the news, there's been volcanoes that killed so many people in the last couple of years. We have raised money and we put 600 or 700 pairs of shoes. We did what we could do on children and families who don't have homes to go to anymore. I'll follow up on that. We've actually gone in the jungles of Guatemala with no electricity. We've started a sewing factory, had to find the old sewing machines, if you can remember, that were foot operated. And we've started 2 villages that have electricity, computer schools. So we've been involved the whole way we could possibly be with Guatemala. So I love Guatemala. In Mexico, we do things like, help repair an orphanage and things like that, and Vacation Bible School. We've had a great passion for, in particular, Mexico and Guatemala, because I've been so close with them so many times.
That's an extensive level of support for those perhaps less fortunate or the underserved or those who are suffering. It's wonderful to hear about.
And in fact, we actually brought a couple of Guatemalan ministers several years ago to my Corpus Christi church because I wanted the people in Texas to hear their experiences with the gospel, their experience in the church, their experience in life. And they were actually turned out to be missionaries for us in the United States. Yeah. So it's a two-way thing. So I've been enriched, unbelievable, but I'm glad God has opened those doors.
I've read that you host a radio show out of Miami, a program on Reformed theology. So can listeners tune into this program?
They can. It's on WRMI, which is a shortwave radio station, probably the largest, at least in the continental United States, private shortwave. It's Radio Miami International. Part of it's in Miami and part of it's in Okeechobee, which is that funny little water spot where in fact, there's an alligator right there on the site, right where the several acres of antennas. So the show is beamed to the Caribbean and South and Central America. But the way shortwave works, the backside of the wave comes toward us. So on every Saturday night, even with time changes, at 9 o'clock, you have a shortwave radio. You can pick it up on 9455. If you do not have a shortwave radio, it is streamed on WRMI.net. Or if you have Alexa, you can just say, Alexa, at 9 o'clock on Saturdays, please, you don't have to say please, but WRMI radio, and it comes on then. It's only 10 minutes long, but it is a little snippet of, as I understand life from a Reformed theology perspective.
Oh, that's good to know, and certainly very valuable information for our listeners. On a more local level, we'd like to hear more about your ministry here in South Salem at the Presbyterian Church and what viewers might like to know about its programs, events, and services.
Well, this church is going on 300 years, like many other churches in this area. And, right behind us, there's even almost 30 people that were buried from the Revolutionary War, if we were to open that up, let alone all the others that are here. This church and the other churches, just the history of this country, at least as this country was formed. So we want to maintain that tradition. It's a powerful tradition, but we're joining hands even now. We're having some services with the Methodist Church and the Episcopal Church as we get ready for Holy Week. So we'll be doing those things together. We'll be involved with many things. My primary purpose here will be to service this congregation, preach and teach, hospital visits, and all the normal things of life. But in order to be a Christian as we understand it in the Presbyterian Church, I've got to get beyond this building. I can't stay here. It can't be, Christianity is an action word. And they remind us of that in Guatemala. They hear too much of this academic stuff. Then wonder, what does it do? What are you doing with it? So we will take it out. There are hungry people. There are hurting people all over the place in this community and nearby as you keep reading in the news. So we're going to be involved with that. There are all kinds of programs here. Obviously, there's a musical program that brings some of the highest quality professional musicians you've ever heard of. And that's not an exaggeration. It's just high quality. That's here. The Scouts. There's other organizations here the church opens their doors to serve. So this is a community building. This church exists on this hill for us to be as a congregation, but this is for the entire community. So all kind of events will happen.
Now, in the past, if I recall, as a community hub or community center, the church has hosted some seasonal activities.
Correct.
I believe around Memorial Day, there's a lawn event or a fair that takes place here. There's also a chili cook-off in the summer, or that might be in the fall. Can we expect some of those events to continue?
They will begin. The planning's already going on. And another thing for the chili cook-off, for example, when the previous minister was here, who was a beloved person, Chip, he actually had started the chili cook-off, I believe. But the way that expands, there was a young lady who was 11 years old at the time, and she got so involved with what that meant and what Chip meant in her life and how she could go beyond this building. She's raising over $5,000 actually to try to build a well in Sudan. But things like that started from a chili cook-off. Chili cook-off is a fun event for the community, and some of the money will go locally that's raised, of course, for this event and other charities. But there was a young person who's now 14 maybe, and that goal is going to continue to go on. But it was birthed right there at events like that. So other things will come as well. But I don't know a lot about the chili cook-off yet. The Memorial Day is being planned and everything now, but there's people that run races and all the things that come. So I'm looking forward to finding out more about that.
Great. What else would viewers like to know about you?
I just would love to meet them, of course. I'd love to meet people, and I would love to share my experiences. I've done so many other things in life. I've led 35 trips to Israel and stuff like that. So I've got some expertise there. I've done archaeology and things like that in Israel and some other countries. Would love to share those experiences. Anything would just be available in any way. A minister, he or she is in a particular congregation, but here they are not locked into that congregation. I mean, I will go anywhere, do anything I possibly can for the community or so forth. I'm located in this church, that's true. But I've been placed here, as I understand it, to serve this community, this larger community. So take advantage of that. And already we're doing that with the local Methodist church and Episcopal church. And don't know where those things go, but that's what I really want. I was fortunate to be when a lot of the people were taking their oaths of office January 1st. I'd only been here like a week, but I was able to be there and give like an opening prayer and everything. And that was exciting because I want to support those who serve here. Those who serve when there's an accident and you go and you have to get the ambulance, or those who are serving in government, or those who are doing all the people that are picking up the trash. I make sure I'm saying hi to that person every day. That's what makes our community. It takes all of us together. I want to be part of that, not above it or outside it. I want to be part of this community.
No doubt that your outreach is going to touch many, many lives, and you're going to be an important part of the fabric of this community.
Thank you, but it's a privilege for my wife and I to be here. It really is. It's a joy to be here. I've been in bigger churches and all that, if you want to, through the years. I have written to my other friends. I said, you won't believe. The short time I've been here, I have never been to a church I have found more loving. And it may look small, but it's not small. There's just so much talent in everything here. So it's exciting for me to be here. It really is.
A lot of love and a lot of energy.
It is here. In the whole community, though. Yes. I go to the other areas nearby, and just amazing to people. They're just amazing.
And your family is here, yes?
Yes and no. My wife is going back and forth a lot because we still have our condo in Florida, but she works off the computer, so she'll be flying back in this particular weekend. She's been in Portland with her job. But my daughter and her husband have been married 8 years, and they are in New York City. He's a professional magician in New York City and does a lot around the country. And my daughter is with Teachers College for the moment, teaching and so forth.
And you mentioned to me earlier off camera that you've been married for how long?
45 happy years.
Yes. So for those interested in learning more about the South Salem Presbyterian Church, its programs, services, and events, how do they connect?
Let me make sure I get this correct, because I'm new. Have cards made up. Come get cards. I don't want to give you the wrong address, which I've done that in the past, because I've changed my email. Come to the website, southsalempc.org. SOUTHSALEMPC.org, and that'll give you updates. Also, there's a weekly blast, and you're welcome to get on that. The website will tell you how to get on it, and that'll give you the most current of information. Or email me personally. I have a new email, Mark Emmett Salmon. Wow. MarkEmmetSalmon @gmail.com. That can be gotten off the web too. But do contact us and let us know. Maybe you're not involved with a church or religious community, and you've had something come up. You have a loved one in a hospital or a friend like that, or you need something. Call us up. Call us up and let us know. Not just here, my friends at the other churches and worship centers too. We want to be involved. We're not just located here.
Well, thank you, Mark. It's been a pleasure having you on the show and sharing your experiences with us. I'd like to thank the Reverend Dr. Mark Salmon for joining us, and thank our viewers for watching LCTV Channel 20. Until next time, this is Linda Press Wolf for LCTV, winner of Overall Excellence in Government Access Television.
You're watching Lewisboro Community Television, Channel 20.